Hi, Eric here. How much does it cost to have a true Western lifestyle in Phnom Penh, Cambodia? Well, let's explore that. On a great many occasions, I've seen people asking on internet forums or explaining on YouTube videos, well, how cheaply can you live in Phnom Penh? If you get by and you just exist, sharing a single room apartment with no air conditioning and eating dog food for every meal, how cheaply can you live in Cambodia? And the answer is very cheaply, probably $700 or $800 a month. But that's not what this video is about. Most of the people in my sphere are international in order to experience as many different things as possible, as much as life can give, but at the same time also live a comfortable and enjoyable life of travel and convenience. So this is the group of people that I have in mind for making this kind of video. Someone who wants to live a typical middle-class American type life, or maybe even a little bit better. This video is about if you want to come to Phnom Penh, Cambodia, the capital of Cambodia, and live in a Western type lifestyle where you have air conditioning and plenty of room and nice amenities and plenty of food and convenience and entertainment. How much will all that cost to live in a truly Western standard? So let's just break it down by each category that you might have to pay. The most expensive part of living anywhere is going to be the rent. So I would say that if you wanted to have a really nice 2-bedroom apartment, the cost would vary depending on where you want to live. If you want to live in BKK1, which is an area that's well developed and has a lot of people with money in it, a 2-bedroom apartment will probably set you back, if it's very nice, around $800 or $900 a month. If you want to live near the riverside, you can probably find a 2-bedroom apartment for $700 to $800 a month. And if you live in Russian Market, where a lot of expats live, particularly, then you can probably spend about $600 a month for quite a nice 2-bedroom apartment with nice air conditioning, fully furnished, all kinds of great features. And I would say that most expats really like the Russian market simply because there's so many Western style convenience stores and great restaurants, and it's not too busy. It's got a big market for shopping, and it's just got a lot of Western conveniences, people who are used to dealing with Westerners and speaking English. So for now, I'm just going to assume that you are going to the Russian market area. You can get a really nice apartment for that kind of money. If you look now, there's going to be a link in the corner that shows one typical apartment that was $600 to $650 a month in Russian Market. And also, if you look up on the top corner, you can also see right now what our apartment looks like, which is not in any of those areas listed, and it is $800 a month. So I would say $600 a month, if you're going to live in the Russian market, is plenty of money to get a really nice place that's spacious, maybe 100 square meters or 1,000 square feet, with your basic amenities and furnishings that just looks really nice, and an elevator and things like that. For $600 a month, you should also be able to get included the internet, although it might not be so fast, so you might choose to spring for more internet and security, and in some cases even a once-a-week cleaning for free for that kind of money, as well as a backup generator, although the power doesn't go out as much as it used to in Phnom Penh. So $600 a month is enough to have a really nice 2-bedroom apartment in the Russian market area. While we're talking about rent, we might as well also talk about this thing that will always come with it, which is your utility bills. Note that it is actually quite expensive to use electricity in Cambodia. In America, it runs 10 to maybe 13 cents per kilowatt hour. In the place we're at now, it's 18 cents per kilowatt hour, and that's about as cheap as it's going to get. An interesting thing about Phnom Penh is that your electricity can be a different amount depending on where you live. So if you lived in a nice service apartment, which is, like I was saying, about $600 a month in Russian market, then you actually pay as much as 25 or even 28 cents per kilowatt hour, and so it becomes much more expensive. I really enjoy the air conditioning. I cool my room down to around 22, 23 degrees at night. I always have the air conditioning on during the daytime, and I think that you will probably pay somewhere in the realm of $200 per month for electricity. As far as water, water is extremely cheap in Phnom Penh, and we probably pay only about $6 a month. It's a negligible amount. It's going to be a separate deal to go and buy drinkable water, but I would say that a month of drinkable water for one person is going to be about $20 per month. So we'll say about $5 a month for water that comes out of the tap, which you don't want to drink, and maybe another $20 per person in drinking water per month, a maximum. Some service departments, or really many service departments, include internet, and so that is something that you may not have to pay if you don't need extremely high quality internet. If you're like me and you want the higher quality internet, I pay $30 a month for 30 megabit per second, and that's fast enough, definitely in order to stream and play video games and all those things that people like to do. It's enough for a whole family to stream and do whatever they want. So that would be about $30 per month. And since we're talking about home internet, we might as well also talk about your mobile internet. And I can say that the cost of a mobile connection here in Cambodia is the cheapest I have seen anywhere in the world, and I've been to quite a few places in the world. Mobile internet through cell card, which is what I use, probably the biggest company, is an okay 4G connection, and they claim it's 30 gigabytes per month for $5 per month. But in reality, they tack on all kinds of other little charges that they don't really explain, and I don't really think calls are free. So I would say that the typical person will pay $10 per month for a mobile connection for more 4G mobile internet than you will use during the course of a month. So unbelievably cheap. It's barely even worth factoring into your considerations. $10 per month. So now let's talk about food. So food in Cambodia is a little bit more expensive, I think, than Thailand, the neighboring country, but it is so much cheaper than it is in America or in Europe or Australia. So you can expect that the food will be very, very inexpensive. The amount of money that you want to spend on that is very different from person to person. It's up to you. We do cooking on our own mostly, but I think most people do that. And so we spend for two people $200 per month. And we go to markets for ingredients and that kind of thing, and there are markets everywhere. On the other hand, if you wanted to buy more expensive food, I mean, you know how food is, the sky's the limit. So if you want to always pay a food vendor for pre-prepared street food every single day, that's fine. I think you can probably do that for around $250 a month. If you want to go out to restaurants for every meal, well, then it's going to be quite expensive because this is, they're restaurants. We'll say if you want to have the food mostly prepared for you already, where you do very little cooking, I would say one person $250 a month, and if you cook it yourself, $150 per month would be plenty. So we'll just even it out. We'll say $200 per month for food in Cambodia. We should also talk about insurance. Now, medical care is extremely inexpensive in Cambodia. Even at private hospitals, it is shockingly cheap compared to America. Maybe not so compared to Europe, where it's free, and by free I mean paid for by your taxes. I still think that you can get away here in Cambodia with health care for less than you would pay even for the taxes for the free healthcare in Europe. So I would guess that if you wanted to buy insurance in Cambodia that covered all your basic needs, you can do so for about $100 per month. $100 per month. And that would be going to a private hospital, which is the kind of hospital that you want to go to, $100 per month. You can also buy policies that cover almost 100% of everything, where you don't even need to worry about any more money whatsoever in terms of medicine, because the insurance will just cover everything. And that, I think you're looking at somewhere around $180 per month if you're a healthy person. That covers almost everything that you could imagine. In Cambodia, as far as transportation, there's really two options. Option one is that you can pay somebody else to drive you around all the time, and option number two is that you can drive yourself around all the time. As far as option number one, please note that that is kind of an expensive option. You can get tuk-tuks to drive you around everywhere, but the tuk-tuks are slow. You'll have to wait for them. Sometimes you'll have to haggle for prices, and it's more trouble than it's worth, and it's a lot more money than it's worth. Option number two, which I consider the better option by far, is to drive yourself around, and you can do that in a car or you can do that in a motorcycle. And probably you are not going to be driving yourself around in a car. And it's just so expensive to buy a car here. The cheapest decent used cars here are about $10,000 due to the fact that cars are not made in Cambodia. They all have to be imported. They're all subject to tax, and you're going to have to jump through an awful lot of hoops in order to get that car purchased and maybe registered in your name, maybe. So I recommend driving around on a motorcycle, and by a motorcycle I usually mean a little scooter. Now, I don't have a scooter. I have a 2016 Ninja 300, which you can see here in this picture, which you can use for little short trips all over the city and for long trips out in the countryside as well. And if you want to ride around in the countryside, I really recommend a bigger motorcycle. But if you just want to drive around town, without a doubt, the best way is probably just getting a little scooter. You can get a scooter for around $500. That cost is not included in this video, as this is the monthly cost that I'm considering. But if you want to purchase a motorcycle, you're going to need to drop about $500 to get a decent used little scooter, like a Honda Wave or a Click or something like that. Or maybe another $100 to ensure it's really nice, but we'll say about $500. But once you have that motorcycle, it is incredibly cheap to drive around. Repairs are so cheap. I would guess that for an entire month on one of those little 125cc motorcycles, you're looking at a maximum, absolute maximum of $40 in gasoline per month. And that's with gas being $5 a gallon here in Cambodia. So it's more than $1 per liter in Cambodia. It's still $40 per month, absolute maximum, if you're going to use a little motorcycle like that. Very cheap. Now you might say, oh, but Cambodia, it's too dangerous to drive a motorcycle. I have found it's less dangerous than when I lived in Thailand and drove a motorcycle. I've seen less accidents than in Thailand, and the accidents I've seen here are usually not as bad because the accidents that do happen are low speed. It's almost impossible to go fast in Cambodia. You'd have to be crazy to drive fast here. And so as long as you take it slowly and cautiously, I have found that there aren't even really too many close calls. It's actually not that dangerous to drive in the city. Finally, let's talk about entertainment. The target audience of this video is not people who just want to barely survive in Cambodia, but people who want to have a good lifestyle. And so that means you're going to want some entertainment. Entertainment here costs about the same as it does in neighboring Thailand. So you can go cheap or expensive on entertainment. You can go to restaurants that cost $100 a plate. You can go to little local restaurants that cost $2 for a dish, and everywhere in between. There's plenty of nightlife, and there's clubs, and there's a thriving nightlife scene in the Riverside, but also in Russian Market, all over the place. So you can spend an unlimited amount of money if you want. I would say that if you're just a regular person and you want to have plenty of money to go out with your friends and do all kinds of fun stuff, or little day trips on the weekend, I think $500 per month is sufficient for a large amount of entertainment that will keep you plenty busy. Going out to eat does not have to be expensive. You can see this very pleasant restaurant that my wife and I went out to here on her YouTube channel, in which we paid around $10 for 2 people, including some nice drinks and some great beef lok lak and a very relaxed setting. So you don't have to spend $100 to go out to eat here. So I've just broken down for you all of the costs of living a very comfortable Western style life in Phnom Penh. And if we look here, you can see that I put rent as about $600 per month, food at about $200, electric at $200, water at $25 per month, internet at $30, gas at $40, the good insurance at $180, phone about $10 per month, and $500 for entertainment. And so this is going to end up totaling just a little bit under $1,800 per month. Now, that is so much cheaper than it would be in America or in Europe. So it is not bad at all. And of course, if you do want to live a more extravagant lifestyle, you can get something that's more expensive, or if you want to save some off this, you can get a cheaper apartment. You can use less electric. You can cook all your food yourself, for example, and there are always ways that you can save money. You can cut off the insurance if you really want to, although I don't recommend it. You can get a less expensive insurance. So this is the overview of the costs of living a good Western style life in Phnom Penh. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I'll answer. Everyone have a great day.